So this is that time of the year when exams are around the corner, and as much as we may want to evade the stress that comes with exam, but examination per se itself denotes and is depictive of stress. This has been something which has been there from times immemorial. When people used to go to appear for an exam, there used to be some element of stress. And we would realize that this element of stress is a lot of times useful, because if the students and see and recall their own days, for adults, one would recall that a book that you sometimes will take many days to finish, in exam time, the same book, the same chapter is revised and studied within a matter of hours and sometimes even few minutes, because the memory of the mind, the ability to grasp, becomes so focused and so pronounced. And this happens because of a magical change that happens in our body and brain. The body begins to go through what is called as an adrenaline in pumping, and this hormone called adrenaline, it primes your psyche to be able to enhance its retention, to get the focus with much better vision, so we are able to study much more faster. So how do we draw the line between the stress taking its natural course and stress that goes beyond our ability to cope and then becomes detrimental in terms of being able to bring about the optimum result? So this normal physiological stress, which enhances the capacity of a human being to be able to study better, reproduce better in the exam, and to be able to get better scores, is what is called as eustress. This eustress is something which is useful. When this eustress becomes more pronounced, then there is a bit of a short circuiting that begins to go through the brain and the body. The you goes away, and then what we are dealing and grappling with is humongous amount of stress, which takes away our ability to study, our ability to focus, makes us irritable, makes us not be able to focus at all. And then we are ruminating and worrying about how are things going to be. How are we going to be able to remember when we deal with the examination paper? And when we can't do all of this, then there is a further chaos and dissonance that we go through, just reducing our ability a lot to be able to understand, to be able to read and comprehend, and to eventually produce it in the examination. So it is very important that we knew these signs of stress as we grapple with them, and also possibly knew certain ways in terms of how to be able to deal with this stress, so that we are able to study better, to be able to comprehend better, and eventually to produce it better, so that we pass with flaring very good results and we are happy and everybody is happy. So it is very important that, and I think these signs are very useful, not just for students, but also their parents, because sometimes these signs are more visible to the carers, to the people around, to the family, when they see that the child is becoming irritable, is suddenly withdrawing himself or herself, is possibly becoming angry, is possibly just talking about the exam and the worry and the future and the career. It is a competitive world, and we will deal with these worries, but when we are ruminating, when we are talking about it a lot, that means the stress is now exceeding our ability to cope. I think some of the very important ways how to deal with this stress is just first take a look at the broader canvas, look at the larger picture. What is the purpose? Why are you studying? What do you want to attain out of the results that you will accrue from this exam? And I think it's very important, like one philosopher very beautifully said, that if there is one thing that I could ever do in my life, is to go back to school or college and be able to study again. because, as he explains, that in school or college, he was never given to understand that the purpose of education is to get knowledge and not just get grades in exam. So when the purpose of education is knowledge, then possibly we will understand that it is, as much as it is important to recall and retain, it is important to understand the concept. When you understand the concept, your ability to be able to recall it in the exam will be so much better and clearer. So I think one of the biggest mistake that people make is their loss of focus. Why are they studying? And if the whole idea is just to produce it in the exam, then a lot of us end up taking shortcuts. We want to go and refer to notes, to what is popularly called as kunjis, and even though they will give you a broader idea and retention, but if the question is asked in a twisted way, you are bound to feel chaotic and not be able to recall it. So study well, study appropriately, but even when you're doing it, don't make the mistake of recalling it all at one go. Remember, before the exam, even if you've studied well, you are trying to remember everything at the same time. And if you try to remember everything at the same time, the brain's not going to help you do it. And if the brain's not going to assist in being able to do it, you are going to feel very burdened, very worrisome, and you will not be able to recall. So it is important for you to know that during examination, when you look at the question paper, take a deep breath, and when you are just now trying to recall the basic concept and the answer that the question is asking you, it will be like a very, very easy capacity of the human brain, of your brain, to be able to produce it. Which is why, even though you were so worried and stressful before the exam, when you go and write the paper, it is not so difficult, because now the brain is only focusing on what is being asked and is producing it.